force. And also now looking at, okay, fine, we have women out there now, they've gone into different spaces and all of that. So now looking at that, looking at how we can also include young women now. You know, we've talked about the girl child, looking at how we can now include the young women. Now, the first thing is to like see, you know, like I said, we cannot force them. What area of technology or STEM do you feel you can, you know, really strive? For someone, for a business owner now, you're talking to a business owner, you're talking to an entrepreneur, you're talking to a lawyer, you're talking to a banker, an accountant that, okay, we want you to come, we want you to like come into STEM field, or we want you to acquire something, a skill in technology. The first thing is to ask them, what is your part? I mean, what is the what excelling technology do you think you can apply into what you're doing? I think that's the question we need to ask them before we start the training, because most young ladies are running away from coding. You know, the new what technology now require writing some block of codes. And I will tell you that we have other skills on the technology that doesn't require writing codes. We have so many soft skills. So when you brainstorm and say, okay, as a participant, I want to go into this program, fine, maybe you're coming up with a web development. It might not be my area of interest, but for the fact that I think, oh, it's free, let me just go there and join them. I will just go. After the learning, it won't be impactful to me because that is not the area I really wish to learn. So the first thing is to like brainstorm, come up with a questionnaire. Let's see what aspect of technology you can learn from. What aspect of technology do you think will be impactful to your career or to whatever, to your business or whatever you're doing? So with that, we can bridge that gap. We can bridge the gap of low turnoff of women in STEM-related field. So with this, I think, when we continue with our discussions, because I wouldn't want to go far, we have a lot to say today. So that is my take, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Kemi. Thank you very much. In fact, I'm glad that this conversation is starting up like this, because you've sort of gone ahead to even address some of the issues that I was going to raise. However, we will still talk about them in due time. So I'm going to say, maybe I should just leave this up for questions if we have any questions. So, but anyway, before we go to that, I see the component lead of component 3, Professor Yalams. He's right here with us. Prof, thank you so much for joining. Good morning, Prof.
Good morning, how are you? I'm happy I'm part of this meeting, even though I'm on transit.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Prof.
You're welcome. I'm enjoying it as well. It's good.
Okay. So component 3 is of the project focuses on, Prof, do you want to tell us a brief about component 3 before we go on? Or should I? Yes, Prof, I think you should say it yourself.
Well, I hope the network will allow me, because it keeps fluctuating. Well, like the coordinator said it earlier on, component 3 is all about increasing the number of technical teachers and instructors in the economy.
Okay, he had issued a disclaimer to us, so this is his network.
I mean, for the economy. So it's teachers more to stay on, and then helping them to develop their professional career or growth. And the Ideas Project is actually out there to do all of those, and STEM is part of my NAV center. I have always thought of and lived with STEM, and TVET and STEM, you cannot divorce them. They are all together. So female or women in STEM, I think globally that is the best way to go. Nigeria cannot be left alone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I actually wanted Prof to talk so that we will understand that the nature of IDS project is all-encompassing in the sense that the teachers' issues are also addressed as much as students. So it's cut across both the informal, the formal, the students, the teachers. So the project tries to cater for the needs of education and vocational skills training. So that's why I wanted Prof to kind of say a word to us. So we also understand that the project is robust, and we trust God that if carried out properly, it's going to address a lot of issues and also take us from one destination. It might not take us to the end, but to a large extent, it takes the country from one extent to the next extent. So thank you very much, Prof. Thank you so much. Now,
you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so the next discussion. Okay, so the next panelist that we would invite is, it's Kemi. Okay, so it's Kemi Ogunkoya. I'm going to read a little bit about Kemi Ogunkoya, and then I'll invite her over to speak to us. Kemi Ogunkoya, as she said earlier, is a leadership development strategist. She's an author, and she is the founder of EdTech, and she's a member of the Forbes Business Council. She has worked with numerous businesses across the world to develop the capacity of their leaders. She's the founder of Reli's Works, a leadership and innovation hub, and LeaderX, an SaaS mobile application that helps to develop leaders to develop their leadership skills on the go in real time, anywhere, anytime. Kemi is the programs director for Women in Tech Nigeria chapter that is also a member of the board of trustees of Power Women Network, Lead Africa Now, Young Leaders Council, and many more. She's the author of Goal Mastery, Magical Pills, and The Leadership Guardian. Kemi is just, I think, maybe after this call, we will just crown her mother of women in tech. Kemi, good morning. It's such a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's such a great honor and privilege to be here. I'm super excited. You know, I got the message and I was like, yeah, glad that we're having this conversation. Hello, everyone. It's so good to be here. And, you know, Kemi, thank you for that powerful summation. I think you truly did set the ball rolling. And to Mrs. Blessing, thank you for also just, just really helping us understand more about the IDS project and what you are accomplishing through that. Kemi has said quite a lot already, so I'm going to try not to repeat some of the things that she has said. But my thoughts really around this is that, yes, we have to, pretty much change our approach towards tackling these issues really around the representation of female or the women in the tech, and innovation space. And just like Kemi said, we have to start tackling from the root. And I think a lot of times when we talk about tackling from the root, we haven't truly explored the depth of, the stakeholders that are involved. So yes, we bring the conversation to the parents, we bring the conversations to the teachers, we bring the conversations to the women themselves. But then, there are still other key players that we may also have to bring on board. We need to bring the men on board. We need to bring, the guys, the classmates, right? Of these young ladies, right from a very, young age. When we look at the formation or how we evolve into who we are and where we are, we cannot take away the pace of nature and nurture. Now, when we look at the pace of nurture, nurture does play a significant role. So for me, I believe that a lot of times what we are doing is corrective. So yes, we go through these cycles of corrective measures to say, oh, okay, the ladies are now in technical school, or they're not in technical school, they're in secondary school. How do we get them off right from secondary school? How do we get them to show more interest post, university, the university education? But the conversation and this indoctrination has to happen way before that time, right? I'm looking at from nursery schools. How are we bridging, or how are we pushing the agenda of inclusion? How are we incentivizing the female participation in science and tech right from the roots? How are we making it look more attractive? How are we making more girls, for example, choose to go to the Jet Club over going to ballet? And not because ballet is bad, but then, sometimes there seems to be this crowd mentality. What are we doing right from that point to start to incentivize these science roles and then start to demystify the idea of tech, this idea of science, so that it's not this big, scary, audacious monster anymore? And I think that those conversations need to start happening way earlier than we are having them. How do we ensure that even the mindset of the young boys are being worked on at that point, so that they do not grow up to now start seeing women as alien in tech, rather they see them as partners? But this will not happen, at the higher level. It would be that we have indoctrinated these thoughts, this mindset from a very young age, so that it doesn't look weird to see girls in an engineering class. It doesn't look weird to see girls, really topping it in mathematics. But when we leave it till it's pretty much now correction, then we're going to keep having programs, and then those programs will not be as effective, because for some women is, let me just try what they're able to saying in this tech. And then the moment they see that they're not, being able to get in or get the results that they want very quickly, then they drop off. So I think that some of the things that need to happen very, very quickly. And, we also need to bring more women or more female mentors out. Now, a lot of times I get to engage with a lot of women in tech. I'm programs director for a women in tech platform. And one of the things that I also see lacking is the availability of female mentors, right? So things are definitely improving already. We're not where we used to be. Some of the things that we do is that we ensure intentional, mentorship, internship, and all of that. And as much as possible, we push towards this kind of opportunities around women-led businesses. But I think beyond that, we also need to engage the private sector a whole lot more, so that we can have expressions of these women, doing their amazing stuff where they are. We bring them into, for example, the technical schools, for example, right? How can we bring more women to take ownership of the growth of other women right from our technical colleges? How do we even make our technical colleges look and sound more attractive? Okay, how do we do all of that? So I think we need to start looking at it from a multi-level, multi-stakeholder dimension, where we're not quick to exclude some stakeholders, but rather we are asking who else has to be involved? Who else has to be involved? Now, there was a particular study, I can't remember where I saw it, that spoke about the access women have to, technological devices. So say for example, in a particular household, there's just one laptop, right? Who do you think that laptop is going to go to? It's going to go to most likely the guy, because they feel, oh, you know what, they most likely will find their way around it. So guess what? What do we do in such a way that we make resources like this more available to the women? How do we do it in such a way that we have financing, in some way for the women that makes it easier for them to access these opportunities? I think those are some of the things that we need to, start looking at, bringing in more mentors, creating more partners, expanding the nest of the stakeholders that we need to involve, and then also start having conversations around tech that does not look and feel like tech. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. It means that, so when Kemi spoke earlier, she spoke about the mindset, right? The thing is, if we don't first tackle the mindset, if we don't first tackle the thoughts that support women feeling like, oh, you know what, maybe tech is not for me, maybe STEM is not for me, then we cannot get them to actually operate at their best. So how can we start having conversations that bring them from the place of mindset and then, channel them into the expression of what is possible when they can equip themselves with this skill, right? So which means that, maybe one of the quick examples that I can use is, so imagine, this multi-level marketing idea where they say, you know what, come in for a yoga class. And then after you are done with your exercising, then they now start to tell you about, oh, okay, there's this particular product and all of that. What can we learn from that model to also bring into, telling women about tech, teaching them about tech and bringing them into the ecosystem? My overall thoughts will be that we can achieve so much more, but it would be important that we are dealing with the root issues and that we are making tech actually look more attractive by bringing women in and ensuring that there's a system that also provides some level of sustainability for them. So thank you very much. I will, look forward to the discussions that we'll have on the panel, and I'm sure there's so much that we'll learn and share together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kemi. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear
Hi,
you now.
doctors, we hear you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry, I apologize. My network I think I had glitches with the network, but I'm back. Thank you so much. That was so much insight, Kemi. And, I took out some notes and I was going to ask, so I hear you talk about partnership and mentorship. So it's a very direct question, and this is not just to Kemi, but it's to all of us, especially those who are actively involved in tech directly. If Ideas Project, not really if, because it's part of what we would do, encourage mentoring for girls, specifically for girls. So if there is a program now targeted towards mentoring, you might not answer directly now, right? But just so I drop the question, are you open to be available mentors for these girls? Because the project is domiciled in technical colleges, and we know that generally participation, if you go to technical colleges, like the last school we went to in Orozo, what I realized is that most of the girls are in garment making. Most of the girls are in catering. So you might count 1 to 8 girls before you hear one say she's in automobile or ICT, you know. So the truth, and I keep asking myself, is it true that these girls are not capable of thriving in other would I say men-dominated courses? And so from all of these presentations so far, I realized that the answer is no. So from what you're saying, again, I can deduce that there's a need for, first of all, because some of these girls are already in the system, we can't take them back and say, let's rewind your life and correct your brain and say, okay, but however, what can we do at this point to salvage the situation? What can we do to make it better? So it's a direct question that doesn't require an immediate answer, because if the answer is yes.
Dorcas, I
Yes,
think we don't mind if they can give us the right answer. It's a question that if they are invited for such program, will they be available? Will they honor it? I think we don't mind if they can answer us, since we are looking for partners, especially with our technical colleges. We are equally looking for people that will mentor our guests. If we organize such program, can they be available? We don't mind if we get answers from them.
Okay, so yes, so the floor is open. That's the National Project Coordinator. So yes, the floor is open. Anyone that wants to respond to that you can put up your hand and then we will call you up. JB, I'm so happy. Okay, there's a response from JB. That's the furniture woman. Thank you very much, JB. We will take note of that. Any other person? Let's see. Okay, so to make it faster, I think you can just drop it on the comment section, or we would do a follow-up mail trail to just get all of that. So because we would need to also move the conversation further. So if your answer is yes, you can drop it on the comment section. If you want to send us an email, if you want to ponder over it and send an email, yes, we're also open to that. I don't know if it's okay, Ma.
Yes, that is okay.
Okay.
If they can leave the comment on comment section, or send us, we can talk through their mates and all that. That would be okay.
Okay. Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you, guys. We still have a few more panelists to speak, and okay, so we still have a few more panelists to speak, and get the conversation to the end. Just a little bit of more discussion, and then we'll get to the end. So there's a representative of the World Bank, Dr. Mistura Rufai is here, and thank you so much. I know you're a very busy woman, and I also know that this is a huge sacrifice, knowing your schedules and also the fact that you had to leave another meeting just to join us here. So we will just take your presentation now, Dr. Mistura Rufai, if you're here. So yeah, over to you.
Thank you, Dorcas. Please, can you see my screen? Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you so much. We're so happy to have more people on the ideas, in the ideas family. And I like some of the conversation that when I joined, I had some things that really spoke to my slides. Coming from the bank side, I'll be bringing a bit of data for us to see the structure, what we have on ground. So from the letter that I received from the NPCU, Dorcas and Madam Lessing, I was asked to come and talk about how to improve the impact of technology and innovation on gender equality and what needs to be done. So looking at it, there's been a gender transformation. COVID-19 has shown us that we have to we can't do things as usual. We have to change the way our model of doing things. Sorry, let me share my video so that people will be wondering, who is this person talking? I don't know if you can see me. Yeah. So, yeah. So COVID-19 has brought a lot of change, and now we know that we cannot continue to do things as usual. And the digital system has played a very important role. ICT has technology, ICT. As I'm talking to you, I'm working from home now. Even the bank is beginning to practice a hybrid model whereby we are not expected to go to the office every day. You're supposed to go to the office minimum of 2 times or maximum of 3 times a week. This is helping us prepare in situations, just in situations whereby we don't have to go. Like during the elections, we didn't go to the office at all because we had tested the use of technology and we saw that it didn't really affect work. The only thing that was affected was that we couldn't go to the field, we couldn't travel, but we could do work and things were moving on. So digital technologies have now become very instrumental to work, leisure, and even learning. Even now, we're trying to see how we can reach quality of learning by using technology. A lot of digital platforms have come up with both free and paid learning services that people can access, whether you're in school, whether you're not in school. And this is one of the beautiful things about using technology. People are in school in the UK, US, and they're here in Nigeria, still doing their normal work. Ordinarily, before they will have had to travel. So in terms of data, this is evident because we see that there's been a growth in the use of internet from 56 million in 2018 to about 83 million. This statistic is for Nigeria in 2022. So from 56 million in 2018, from 56 million users in 2018 to about 83 million users in 2022. So it is increasingly being understood now that becoming digitally literate is even as important as your traditional literates, the traditional literacy measures that we had before. Before it was more of like just go to school, get your certificate. But now we are seeing that to even move further, even when you get a certificate, you have to be digitally literate to actually make headway. Yeah. So the gender gap in digital literacy, I'm also going to be coming from the data perspective. The digital gap that we have is not just gender. We also have it across countries. We have it across regions. In Nigeria, rural areas are less connected. And trust me, when anything affects a region or a place, it's the women that suffer. So let me give you an example. Rural areas are less connected. The last speaker was talking about when you have one laptop in the household, who do you think will be using that laptop? Definitely not the woman, especially if she's not the household head. In some situations, we have female-headed households, but how many households are actually female-headed? So definitely not the woman. So when there's a digital gap anywhere, when there's a gap anywhere, the women suffer more in that area. In rural areas in Nigeria, only about 15% of the households are connected to the internet compared to about 50% in urban areas. And then according to the International Money Fund in 2022, in Africa, only about 34% of women on average use the internet compared to about 45%. Also, in Nigeria, over 60%, around 60% of females in the northern part of Nigeria have no access to internet. We also have our conventional, traditional practices that also prevent, like I said earlier, women do not have in most cases, they're struggling to have a voice, struggling to say, this is what I want to do, struggling to be able to come up and say things that they want to do for themselves. So the social, gender, and cultural norms still present a significant barrier to women and girls' access to technology and the internet. We also have the issues of poverty. When the poverty strikes, many people cannot afford. You and I, all of us here, we know how much we spend on data every week. So not to not talk of when people that cannot feed, you not talk about them having access to internet. And this has left a lot of people, especially females, unable to reap the benefits of digitalization. So what are the benefits of bridging this digital gender gap that we have here? When we bridge the digital gender gap, we tend to promote the growth of female-led businesses. We see a lot of small-scale enterprises that are female-led springing up. creating employment. But if they don't have this capacity, if they cannot participate in e-banking, e-commerce, then the level of their productivity, the level at which they can compete with male-led businesses will be highly restricted. Improve agricultural productivity and increasing market opportunities, particularly in rural areas. I also work in the agricultural space. I know that technology is key to accessing services like extension agents, getting market information, participating in interventions that will help you, getting access to inputs. Technology has been key. Even development agencies now are keen into using. In fact, one of the interventions they're providing is to see how they can transmit information to farmers using technology, on even how to plant using different current conventional recent planting techniques that can improve their productivity. And then another benefit is that it will facilitate the creation of innovative and creative ideas that meet women's needs and promote their empowerment. When women are not involved in something, then how do you create innovations for them? When women are not using any, they are not part of it. My next point here says it allows females to participate effectively in the decision-making and gain access to digital services such as e-commerce, healthcare, and online banking. This allows when women are digitally literate, they can participate in some of these innovative interventions that are out there. But when they are not digitally literate, then they remain where they are, or they keep doing things the traditional way and cannot compete successfully with their male counterparts. Bridging digital gap will also give opportunities to women to pursue careers in science, technology, and engineering and mathematics. It's a worry to know that by 2070 or 2075 thereabouts, about 60-70% of the jobs that will be out there will be STEM-led. So if women are not gaining the capacity now, they're not gaining the tools they need to participate in STEM, then where will we be in 2075 or 2070 thereabouts? Then my last point is that it will reduce the threats of, there's so many other benefits, but these are some of them that I could put together. It will also reduce the exposure of women to cyber threats, cyber security. Literature shows that even women that struggle to use the internet, because they are limited capacity, they're exposed to cyber threats, different type of risks that we all know that using technology has its own advantages and disadvantages. But when you don't have the knowledge, you don't have extensive knowledge about its use, you tend to fall prey to some of these things. And women are known to fall more prey to this kind of threats than men, because they are even when they use it, they have the limited knowledge to use it. So they tend to fall more, they have higher risk to fall to these threats. Then what should be done? I met the last speaker talking about this, and I was so happy. The first thing is government should increase investments to increase access to internet and other technology, particularly in rural areas. You say people should connect to the internet, but the services are so bad. Many of us know that when we travel outside some urban areas, we don't even have access to internet anymore. There's no services. Then there should be increased collaboration between academia, civil society, and crucially, the private sector. This was what the last speaker was talking about. Government alone cannot do it. In ideas, we are encouraging private sector to come into our technical colleges. Let the girls see you. We need female mentors. Girls, it is not enough to say this thing is achievable, but show them that you've achieved it. Because girls, we need to build the confidence of our girls to say, yes, you can do it. We have female mechanics. We have females that are into mechatronics. We have females that are into coding robotics. Our girls will be more encouraged to participate when they see people that have been able to succeed in these fields. These fields are male-dominated trades. They are dominated by males. So traditionally, when you see a woman wants to become a mechanic or do mechatronics, traditionally, they're thinking like, why does she want to be like a man? Does she have the strength? Does she have the capacity? Can she do it? But when girls, females themselves, see mentors, see other females like them doing it, then they're encouraged. Everywhere I go, I try to, especially with my hijab, women in rural areas always wear hijab, and they have this mentality that there are some things you can't do. So anywhere I go, I try to show them that there's nothing you can't do, because you wear the hijab does not mean that you don't think. It doesn't mean that you can't do it. It should not limit you. It should be, instead, it should encourage you, especially when you see others doing it like you. Then we also talk about provision of education to the female children with the inclusion of ICT training. Like I said earlier, education should move from the conventional classroom, theoretical-based training. Everything is just copy notes, cram it, write exams. Bring in practicals. Bring in digital aspects into training. Train using digital equipment. Let these kids, let it spark their thinking. Let it spark their thinking faculty, and they say, whoa, if my teacher can do this, if we can be taught this, what can I do? Let it spark their creativity. Let them think outside the box. Let's create that for them. Then we need more teachers. You can't give what you don't have. Our teachers are used to teaching the traditional way. Chalk, blackboard, copy notes, write notes. No, we should bring in our teachers too should be technology-based. They should be. And I'm happy that this is what we're trying to do in Ideas. We're trying to bring ICT into training. We're trying to digitalize some of the trades that's going to be trained in technical colleges. We're also trying to see how we can boost the capacity of teachers so that teachers too can bring in digitals, can bring in technology into their trade-specific training, and also pass this on to their students. Then we all know that basic technological skills will not be sufficient. Yes, I can use the computer, I can use the laptop. No, women should be encouraged to go into robotics, go into coding. They are highly shortchanged in this sector. And we know that, like I said, in 2075, most of the job will be around this. It should be around controlling machines and coding, managing data, analytics. We should encourage our females to go into this. Then finally, we should be involved. Women should be involved in the creation of and decision making around digital technology. Only us can provide solutions to our problems. If we are not involved in the decision making, then how do we do so? So when Madam Blessing is saying we want you to come, please come, because that is an avenue to contribute. When you say you want girls in technical colleges to go into a particular trade, for example, let me say mechatronics, and there's no changing room for ladies. You boys can change under the tree outside. They can just wear their trousers and change, but can ladies do that? So when women are there, then we can raise our voice and say, no, women need a changing room. Women need this, women need that. But if we are not there, the girls might not have a voice to say that. But we as women that have pioneered in this technological field can talk, can let the teachers, the school stakeholders know that this is what will work for our girls in this school. We want them to come to this trade, but you must put this and this into it. And generally, in terms of decision-making at the national level, state level, local government level, women should endeavor, we should strive to be part of the decision-making. Most of the decisions even outside technology made are male-driven. They are made to suit males. None is thinking about our maternity status when we have to stay at home. None is thinking about other responsibilities that women have. It is high time that women are involved in making some of these decisions so that we can participate actively, both in decision making and even in the implementation and use of some of these decisions that are made. Yeah, I think that will be all from my end. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. It's great to be here. Thank you, NPCU and Doctors, for putting up this program. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mistura. Thank you so much. That was so insightful. And on a lighter note, we are seeing the old bank. Your presentation is giving is different. Thank you.
I apologize. I have to come from the data angle.
No, thank you very much, honestly. Okay, so we're going to move the conversation further. There will be time for us to still, if we still have time, we can ask questions and, follow up and all of that. But just for the next 5 minutes or so, we have the project manager of Ideas Project in the NBTE. Honestly, Engineer DK, I didn't know he was going to make it. This is really him squeezing out time for us, just to give us updates from the NBT, and we get to know what's happening in NBT and how they are supporting the project. So I'll just let him do the speaking for himself. Let's hear it from the hostess mouth. Engineer DK, it's over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dorcas. Thank you very much for inviting me to this particular program. My name is Engineer ADK Mohammed, and I work with the National Board for Technical Education as the Director of Skills Development. I am also the project manager for the project management unit at the board. Now, as you are aware, the National Board for Technical Education is particularly concerned with the development of technical and vocational education in this country, and specifically skills development, because now our mantra, our new slogan is skills, not degrees. Skills, not degrees. And within this mantra, the National Board for Technical Education is also particularly looking at the girl child. You know, in technical and vocational education, when you look at the statistics, unfortunately, you find out that our female colleagues or daughters or sisters or mothers are not as represented as they should be, taking 50% of the population. But when you look at some of these statistics, if you look at the staffing situation, you find out that they carry less than 20% of the staffing situation. And it is the same thing in the student population. Although, of course, in some few skill side and some of the trades, there is a good participation by the female. Now, let me inform you of what we are doing at the National Board for Technical Education with respect to the IDEAS project. Under the IDEAS project, we have 4 components, and the National Board for Technical Education is involved in 2 of the components, mainly. Component 2, which is concerned with informal apprenticeship, is concerned with developing, upgrading the informal apprenticeship system that we have in this country. You will also note that the informal apprenticeship is also male-dominated. Now, this project is trying to see what it can do to change the narrative, opening more opportunities for female candidates to get trained and be able to have working skills that they can sustain themselves and their families. The component 2 also is looking at formalizing the informal sector, meaning that the informal apprenticeship training is going to get a formal part of it, in which you can get formal apprenticeship training, in which you have a contract, you have a time schedule, you have a curriculum, and at the end of it, you will also get certificated, so that when you move within the country or even outside the country, you will be able to get paid jobs or establish yourself in those areas. And within this, we have in the project implementation manual to ensure that at least 25 to 30% of all our participants or our target trainees, or even those that are involved in the training, to be female. Now, when you look at 30%, you think it is low, but we wanted to get to get 40 to 50%, which is a normal population distribution. So all our participants in this particular component 2 will ensure that we have as many female as possible. If we have more than 50%, it will be okay. And under component 2, we have traits that are chosen in each of the 6 geopolitical zones that we have chosen. Each state has chosen trades that they want to go into, and we'll ensure that we train the master craftspersons, the apprentices, and ensure that we train the master craftspersons as quality assurance assessors, which means they can, it's not only that they can train, but they can also be able to assess and certify their trainees. So these are some of the things that we'll be doing under component 2. There is also component 4, which involves capacitating the administrative and managerial capacities or structures for TVET training in Nigeria. And within that, we have the NSQF rollout, which is the Nigerian Skills Qualifications Framework. Under this, we are training quality assurance managers, internal quality assurance assessors, and external quality assurance managers that are going to train, certify, and internally verify those certificates in the system. So anybody that's interested should be able to find a way in such a way that especially skilled artisans and master craftspersons that are female, we have special opening for them. When we are doing training, right now we are doing our training at Edo State for the South-South, and we are training quality assurance assessors for the South-South zone. And we will go around. South-South zone is about the last one. So we have been to all the other zones and we have trained quality assurance assessors. So we'll go around again to all the other zones. And if any of you is interested, they can be able to contact the National Board for Technical Education to ensure that they are part of the system, because quality bedrock of qualifications framework, they are the ones that train, they are the ones that assess, they are the ones that mentor. So a lot of responsibility is reposed on this cadre of skilled people. So these are some of the few things that we are doing at the National Board for Technical Education with respect to the IDEAS project. There are a lot of things we shall be doing also in the innovation grant funding and all this. You can be able to apply and you will be able probably to get funding for your digital skills if you so wish. You can get funding between $100 to $200,000. So these are some of the few things I wanted to say. And if you have any comment or question, I can take it before I leave you, because we are right now running that workshop. And I'm going back to it after this. Thank you. Hello?
Okay,
Hello?
thank you very much, sir. I guess that's very insightful, and that kind of opens up our understanding again about the project. And I like that he has opened the floor for collaborations. Now you know what the NBT is involved in, and it's an opportunity for you to think of how you can collaborate. And so, yes, if you want to give direct answers, you can give direct answers. If you have any questions, you can ask questions. And if you prefer to, we can move the conversation further, right? Because this meeting is very timed. So we're trying to race with time. So if you have any question, you can drop it in the comment section. You can drop it on the comment section, or if you want to move the conversation further, you can send an email. We will be happy to link you up to Engineer DK and see how you can collaborate and also partner on this particular project. Thank you once more. Thank you very much, sir. I understand that this is a sacrifice and we do not take it for granted. So thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My regard.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Okay, so we have to move very fast because we have.
Sorry, Blessing, before you go on, this is Mr. here. I also wanted to tell you that I have to leave now. I have to go back to my other meeting. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Mistura. Thank you. Such an honor. Thank you so much for joining us. And yes, if you have any question for Mistura, or if you want to move the conversation further with Mistura, you can always let us know. Send us an email, and we will be happy to link you up with her. Thank you so much, Doctor.
I thought I could just say something before she leaves.
Okay, please, Prof.
Ms. Tura, thank you for your presentation, and Engineer ADK. What I would want to recommend or to suggest to World Bank is possibly consider also a program that will showcase female role models in technical and vocational education and in STEM, and possibly give award and then call persons who have achieved to also come and, well, I know that you have attempted to do that, Dorcas, in this workshop, but and do more. Call persons, first female engineer, first female architect, first female whatever, and bring them in Nigeria and let them speak. That will motivate the female more. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. And I also know, I don't know if I should let MPC respond to that, but I also know that we also have that as part of our strategy to encourage female enrollment. So we will definitely have that, but we'll also add some of the ideas that you've brought. I don't know if Mistura is willing to add anything to that, Mistura, or
no, thank you so much, Dorcas. That's great. And that's what I wanted to say, that I will encourage you. This is part of what ideas can support and will support. So trust me, we can discuss this further. These are things that we would like to see, and let's take this further. I can lead this and talk to my TTLs to see how we can push this further, but let's start something. And I'm glad we've started this. I'm really glad we've started this. We can take the conversation further. Yeah. Thank you so much, Prof. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice session. Bye.
Thank you. Okay, so we are going to speed up. I apologize if I've not called you yet. We're way behind time, so we will just maybe reduce the time that we have to present so that others can also get to present, and then so we can go on with our other businesses as well. So we're going to move a little bit faster. Coming up next is one of my favorite people, Adobe. Adobe is a foreign-trained attorney with international experience in nonprofit management, talent development, litigation, advocacy, and community project management implementation. She has extensive years of working experience in the gender space in developing countries. Adobe, I'm sorry, I can't read all of your bio, but I'll just go ahead and just let you speak so I don't steal from your time. But it's such an honor to have you here. And thank you so much for coming early, and thank you for staying up until this time. Adobe, it's over to you.
Thank you so much. And I'm so happy to be here. Thank you to everyone. I mean, working on existing protocol and hoping I'm able to say something, because everybody is saying so much. And I'm like, okay, they just addressed the points now. Okay, and then Mistura comes up and then uses all the data. I'm like, okay, where do I start now? Where everyone has said everything about empowerment and closing the gender gap. Anyway, I think I still have a little thing I can say, since not everything was covered. There's so much to still say about women in tech and how the development world needs to help bridge the gap and close the gap. So let me start. I had just like 3 slides presentation, but let me start by explaining that the UN estimates that the lack of online access, lack of women having online access or online presence costs developing economies about $1 trillion. And by 2050, it's going to cost developing economies $1.5 trillion. And then for Nigeria itself, it's going to be costing us approximately 316 or 315 billion US dollars by 2025 if this is not bridged, right? So it makes a lot of sense to just assume that why won't women just be allowed to have online or digital literacy? Like, if it's going to help a country's GDP this much, is it not common sense that women should actually be allowed to participate and have great online presence, right? I know Ms. Tira also mentioned that most of the jobs will go digital in 20-something. So by 2050, 75% of the jobs we have around the world will be STEM oriented. So if the world and the trend is moving towards machine learning, digital learning, AI, and then, internet and all Internet of Things, it just makes sense that a lot of women need to have access to this, right? So let me share my screen and just do the presentation so we can see some things I prepared. Give me a second. All right. So let's go big. This is just it. Let's move. So I know one of the speakers mentioned that the gender gap is global and it's not just on digital divide. The book by Caroline Perez mentioned more than, I can't even count the number of gender gap. There's a global gender gap in everything around the world where women are not represented, less likely to be represented, or not even represented at all. So it has to do with social, political, intellectual property, cultural, economic attainment or attitude. So there is a need for us to focus on seeing how to mitigate, if not reduce completely, but at least to a large extent, how the gender gap affects women. Now, to close the gender gap, we must understand that women should be fully participating in digital economy. In fact, I liked what Professor said when he was giving his suggestion as to why we need to have women role models. So I live in the US, and some research I look at, I see that African-American girls, of course, I have a 10-year-old daughter who does everything coding. When she even started, I was like, which kind of wala be this? What are you always doing online? You know what? And then I see her doing some stuff, 011, those binary things. And then I see that I didn't have that experience growing up. I mean, how many computers were there anyway? But when we allow girls, or when we observe, we see that most African-American girls are really into problem solving. They want to find out, this is the data research that shows that most African-American girls want to learn how things are built, how things are made. I know one of the speakers said that we kind of tend to have that stereotype, growing kids, you want them to play with the baby dolls or cooking things or kitchen. That's fine. There are no problems with teaching them surviving skills. People need to learn how to nurture, also cook food and all that. But when you allow them to have that stereotype, is ingrained. As a young child, you have a boy and you have a girl, you're buying robots, and the other ones, the girls are doing more soft skills and trying to, nurture. It kind of limits their curiosity. And that is why, as parents, we're also part of stakeholders who need to influence our girl child as they grow up, right? Do not form a limiting mindset and stereotype for them, because you're actually widening the gender gap. Right? So the African-American study shows that most African-American girls are very curious as to how do we problem solve, how do we build, how do we do more, certain engineering things. I mean, when we say engineering, it sounds so technical, but it shouldn't really be. So in closing the gender gap, we should be able to get more women to be literally equipped. Now, we are implementing a project in our nonprofit in Nigeria, through Leap Africa, Ford Foundation and Makota Foundation. They gave us a grant to do IT support skills training. Now, in application, about 200 or thereabouts applied. And in the 200, we don't have up to 0.5% being women. And the project just flagged up and started last week or last 2 weeks. Out of all the participants, only 3 are women. Right? I know Mrs. Blessing said something about, it's not as if we don't have programs. There are programs for women and, to help close the gender gap and all that. But how come it's not addressing the issue? Everyone has talked about grassroots. Why are we not addressing it from the grassroots rural thing? Even us in our nonprofit, we're beginning to learn, what are we not doing right? We are women focused. We are female centered. How come we're only seeing 3 women in an IT support skill training? But if we say we want to do baking and soap making and all that skill acquisition, women are just going to be there. So one of the things we found out was, and this is like in our M&E, we need to find out that we are not structuring in such a way that the language is appealing. I mean, women are naturally nurturers, right? So if they do not see that this program is going to help us solve world problems or even our own individual family problems, if they don't see how the projects you're doing in IT is supposed to help solve a problem, both personal, globally, for anything at all, they'll be like, it's too technical, we're not going to do. So we've understood that the language around what we do is not really inclusive. It doesn't make girls or women understand what's the need for them. So the myth of science being for men alone continues to, plague our minds and dominate. Now, another thing is that there should be concrete policy reforms. I found out that Nigeria already has some policies, and I mean, with what the Ministry of Education through World Bank is doing, this is another great thing that shows, okay, fine, that these issues are not just, that they are feasible and people are seeing that there should be solutions. So there should be concrete reform policies, to advance the progress of women's rights within the digital society. And then we should also design and implement national digital strategies that actively aim in closing this, which is why this project and the webinars, advocacy is one of the tools we can use to continue talking about this. I mean, we cannot close the gender gap. The gender pay gap is going to close around 50-something years. It's not even going to close in my lifetime. But if we don't stop talking about it, if we stop talking about it, if we stop doing advocacy, then it whistles out, right? That's why advocacy is crucial. Webinars like this are very crucial. Now, another thing that can help us close the gender gap is that computer science subject needs to be made more compelling to girls. And like Professor said, pioneering women in IT and technology need to be highlighted more. I was asking my daughter, I mean, because maybe we live in the developed part of the world, she gets to know how many role or what role women played in telecommunication, decoding the data, what they did with GPS. So she knows that there's so many women in tech who actually were pioneers that even did some outstanding things than men, right? When innovation started in technology field or technology space. But how many of these other people know about this? How many young girls know that there are so many women in technology? So like Prof said, we need to highlight it more. Let's create awareness. Let's talk more about that. Let them dominate the mainstream media. Let women be seen and heard. It's going to help more young girls. The curriculum needs to be tailored so that it demonstrates how computer science can be used to improve and solve life problems and social issues. And then the last thing is the pay gap. The pay gap in these two. If we have technical women in technical schools and they're teaching, but they're earning less than the men. I mean, this is some of the things like in this project people are implementing right now. What is the pay structure? Are women going to be paid the same with the men? Because these things trickle down. Money should not be a motivation or the sole motivation to impact knowledge. But if people are not duly compensated, the stereotype will continue to widen, right? So I would also take all those into consideration. And yeah, that is all I have. Okay. Very short and snappy. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ada. Thank you so much. Thank you. I like the fact that some things are echoing over and over and over again. And believe you me, we are taking note of it, and we will still invite us over for another conversation with regards to some of the issues that, especially mentoring partnerships that are echoing and re-echoing, so that together we can see how much we can engage with the private sector and see how the project can make this better. So thank you very much, Ada. That was really insightful. Thank you very much. So let's remember that we are on a speed dial, so we will have to move a bit faster. And the next person that will speak is Rukaya Yaro. Rukaya Yaro is a product designer and a student at the University of Lagos with a passion of solving complex problems through designs. So Rukaya, I know your bio is longer than this, but however, because of lack of time, I would like to hand over the microphone to you. Rukaya, it's your turn to speak.
Okay, hi everybody. Good afternoon. So honored to be speaking here. I've learned a lot from the previous speakers, and you know how it feels when you've prepared something and then you hear somebody touch on it. That's how I feel right now. But then let's see what I can say. So based off of the topic, wow, I'm so sorry. I'm just trying to get my notes. Okay, so I'll just touch on the benefits of bridging the gap, basically, so that I don't just repeat what everybody has said and start dilly-dallying. So I'll touch on 5 things. First off is economic growth. By bridging the gender gap, it leads to increase in economic growth. When women have equal access to education, employment, and entrepreneurship, they can contribute more to the economy. And then studies have shown that increasing women's participation in the labor force can boost the GDP. Also, innovation. Gender diversity in the workplace can lead to more innovation. Diverse teams with a mix of perspectives and experiences can generate more creative solutions to problems. So as somebody that is working in like the tech space as a product designer, half the time you find out that you're mostly working in a male-dominated environment, and with more inclusion and more diversity, you can have, like, you know, females and males working on the same team. And it doesn't just have to be that, oh, the male are the ones leading the industry or leading the team that you're working on. You can also get more inputs from women. Social cohesion, which is another topic which is another point I want to touch on. It's bridging the gender gap can promote social cohesion. You know, gender inequality can lead to social unrest, discrimination, and violence. I think Ms. Tura touched on that, and then she spoke on it also. Promoting gender equality can create more peaceful and inclusive societies. Then also improvements in work-life balance. Bridging the gender gap can lead to improvements in the work-life balance for both males and females. And when women and men share responsibilities at home and at work, it can lead to more flexibility and a better balance between your work and then your family life. Also, you just generally feel happy and you feel more healthier when you know that you have less pressure on yourself and most of your tasks are being shared accordingly. Also, yeah, I think that's basically all I want to touch on. I'm so sorry. I'm a really shy person and I really do not speak much. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rukaya. Believe me, that was brief, concise, and very straight to the point. I wish I can talk like you, like very concise and all of that. Thank you very much, Rukaya. So because we are on a speed dial, I'm unable to say too much. So we will go over to you, the carpenter woman. Hi, Joy. Joy, it's over to you. It's such a delight to have you. I'm not sure I want to read your bio because by saying carpenter woman, I think it just says everything. Or the furniture woman, rather. I think the furniture woman sits pretty.
Anyone will do. Thank you so much, Shafi. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. I have been listening, and a lot of that I wanted to say too has been said, but I would like to touch on my own personal experience in the area of, TVET education for girls and what I have seen, especially in the area of us having so many programs and then why most of them seem not to be really working. So I will start with one of the things that I've noticed is community engagement. Most of these girls cannot really decide what they want to do themselves. So we forget to involve their parents. Young girls, most of the time I realize that when we try to have programs for girls, if we do not sensitize and educate the parents, I am into furniture making and carpentry and other construction skills that I promote. I realize that there's a stereotype that these skills are for men. And so when you don't go first to educating the parents or the guidance of these girls to tell them why they should release their children or their daughters to come learn these skills, then you can't even get them coming in. So I think that one of the issues that I've noticed is community engagement. So we go right in secondary schools, we talk to the principals and call the parents, and they were able to explain to them the things that they stand to gain. And also make them understand that, break the bias of saying that I am not a tomboy. I am a woman and I love being a woman. And yet I'm in a male-dominated industry and I'm thriving. And so if I can do it, they can do it. That's the area of mentorship where it comes in, giving them the role model that they can see, and I have a lot of other bunch of young women that I've trained in furniture making that go along with me anytime we have to go and do any sensitization. So they see these fine young women, they're still wearing their wigs, they're wearing their heels, they are fine, but then they are hands-on on their scale. And so this naturally attracts them to want to be part of us and join us. So the area of having the right role models and mentors is so important. Another thing I've also realized is a mindset issue again, because I know that when we started training, for example, I like to just collaborate with stories of what I have seen. When we started training, we used to have a class mix of girls and boys. And because furniture making and carpentry is, considered masculine, we found that our girls would not talk. They would just keep quiet. They will not ask questions. They are shy to make mistakes in front of the guys. So what we did was to separate the class. And then we had a class of just girls. And I realized that when we had a class of just girls, it was working. So when they even make mistakes in class or in the workshop, they laugh at each other, they encourage each other, and they have this, this lateral mentorship among themselves, always trying to hold themselves, their hands together, and they're moving. So we stopped mixing the boys and the girls. That's what I did. And then we only had the girls in their own class, and we never had boys there, so that they are able to be free to learn. And then when they've gotten this skill, they can now say, okay, we can stand shoulder to shoulder, because this is a male-dominated industry. And they feel that they are not good enough because they are ladies. So we have to first work on their mindset, make them have the right skills so that they can also stand shoulder to shoulder. Another thing I also realized that is a problem is we have to incentivize these girls. The truth is, most of them are coming from very underprivileged homes. They have this, they are not privileged. They can't buy their tools. They can't buy their PPs. They can't buy the material they're going to use to work. Somebody has to help them to fund these things, to help them to learn. So if we're going to get more girls in, we have to have a means of providing funds for this thing. We had to give them transport fare to come to the workshops, come and learn, just so that we can have more girls in. Another thing I also noticed, again, there's a problem, especially with the technical schools, the TVET schools that we have, is the curriculum. The curriculum that we have in most of these, our technical colleges, I'm sorry to say, is not matching the industry need. There has to be a match. Now we are in digital manufacturing, furniture making. More than 3/4 of what we've done is done on the computer. It's no longer about that hand, that power, and that those muscles any longer. It's brain work, it's system work. We do digital manufacturing, we use CNC controls to manufacture. Everything has actually been done on the computer before it goes into the factory. I understand that, yes, we need to also, we are in the real sector, but the real sector right now is driven by tech. So we have to infuse this even in the training to understand that they won't just learn furniture making or carpentry. They need to understand how to do CNC control. They need to understand how to do digital designs, because these are the things that would help them in future. But our curriculum is not really, so when they come out, they cannot meet the market need. That's the problem. So a lot of things that I said, I really don't want to take too much of your time, but these are the things I could point out. And I was writing down when I was listening to that speaker. So we have to look at the curriculum. We have to look at how to talk to the parents, start from the homes, make them understand that even though you must not be a tomboy to come into technology, to come into TVET education, you can actually be a babe and still do these things, and show them examples. I go around with my girls. I have a team of ladies that I've trained, and we go around, they see fine looking women in carpentry, and then this encourages other people to join. So I think I'll just stop here so I can, allow other people to talk. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joy. Thank you. This is, I wish you can see all of our smiles. Like everyone is smiling. This is really insightful. And from this discussion, again, I'm also seeing that there'll be a need for a follow-up conversation. So we will set that up, and we will we will still come back and brainstorm over this. I'm going to still be inviting us to come. And so you can help us, let's hold each other's hands and see how these projects can address some of these issues that you are raising. Because as Ms. Tura said, some of the things are within the capacity of this project. So we will have a discussion with the National Project Coordinator, and then we will also invite us over again to have this discussion and see what we can do. So thank you very much, everyone. We're going to take Gloria now. Gloria, sorry, there's not so much time for me to read your bio, but you can just come up and tell us a little bit about yourself and then set the ball rolling. So thank you, Gloria. I hand over the mic. Over to you. Thank you so much for waiting patiently. Gloria Ojukwu, that's you.
Okay, can you hear me? Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, good morning, Gloria.
Okay, thank you so much, Shefi, for having me, and thank you everybody on the call. So my name is Gloria Ojukwu, and like I said earlier, I'm the founder of Her Tech Trail. So Her Tech Trail focuses on training the girl child with digital skills, employable digital skills, and giving them access to opportunities and, opportunities like jobs and resources and, a lot of other opportunities, but this is like the summary. So I don't have a slide to share, so I'm going to be explaining some of the things I already noted prior now. So I'm going to be also talking so much or focusing much more on the reward and the support aspect of what we can do to, bring more women into the STEM. So firstly, STEM is a very, would I say very, but yeah, STEM is expensive to be in. So if you're going to be in STEM, it's something that, first of all, you have to have access to the internet. You have to have materials such as laptop, for starters. And this is just like the basics. And the cost of internet in this part of the world, even for we are exposed, it's cost us like a reasonable amount of money to, actually purchase data and all of that. And then you also need, it's not something you just buy once and say, okay, I'm done. It's something that you have to always, subscribe to, on a regular basis. So imagine someone who does not have, a good support when it comes to the internet and does not have other materials such as laptops, mentorship, and yeah. So I believe it starts from there, support, getting the necessary materials for these women to be able to actually have a good penetration into the STEM, right? And also, when they eventually get into the tech space, it's apart from STEM being expensive to get into, it's also very tasking. It's not something that is easy in quotes, but it is something that requires you to work a whole lot hard for you to actually make something out of it. And now most of these women, get to, study hard. Okay, on the average, the time it takes for you to actually acquire like a tech skill, goes from 6 months to 2 years or even more. Now, imagine when you finish acquiring these skills and then you do not have places where you can even learn what or practice or have like access to live projects that you can practice with, it becomes a burden. Now, that's where the rewards come into, like, we on our own part, okay, in Her Tech Trail, we train thousands of women, every year. And we have noticed that the rewards that even come, they're mostly, the support that even come, they're mostly on individual basis or private, basis, where, probably private companies just lend out support. And this might not be enough. In fact, not that this might not be enough, this is not enough. Imagine when you graduate thousands of ladies and only a few of them have access to opportunities, to jobs, to internship roles, to projects that they can actually get their hands dirty on. So it becomes a challenge because you cannot be telling me to come into STEM when somebody has already finished learning a tech skill for 1 year and she doesn't have a job yet. She doesn't have a project yet that she's working on. It becomes very discouraging, right? So this is another form of support. I think this is where the pipeline comes in, because one of the things I actually focus on is pipeline maintenance. So we need to ensure that it is not just about pushing people into the pipeline. It is not just about training people with tech skills. After learning these tech skills, what happens? What happens to them? How do they maintain the knowledge and sustain the knowledge that they have, gotten? So this is where opportunities come in, where job opportunities should be provided. It doesn't have to be so big. It is just something that is enough to get them stay motivated, get them feel like, okay, I'm working on a project, I'm in the STEM, I'm actually in tech, right? Because I can't be telling people I'm in tech when I've finished learning a skill for 1 year, right? And I don't even have a job, or I don't have someone that I can work with. I don't have a company that I can work with. So it becomes discouraging. Most of them some of them actually after learning a tech skill for like 1 year, and they do not have basically like some of these opportunities. Some of them go back into what they were already doing, like fashion and other things, because you told them to come into tech and tech is big. And then when they came in, they learn tech. And then at the end of the day, these jobs are there, but it takes a lot more time, right? It is the ones that are very patient that, okay, actually know that, okay, it is not like something that just happens quickly. But I believe something can be done in such a way that the pipeline can be very well maintained, in the sense that as someone is graduating from, let's say, a boot camp or a tech training, the person already has like something, at least 90% sure that, okay, I'm going to get something. And most times these people don't even necessarily need you to pay them so much. They just need to feel that, they just need to have that feeling that, okay, I'm in tech and I'm doing something, and okay, this is my starting point. Tomorrow is going to be bigger, right? So this is basically what they need. So it is only the very patient ones who are ready to stay like 1 year after the training, 2 years after the training, that are lucky enough to, get the jobs. And then the other lucky ones that, probably are very exceptional. But we want a situation where at least if we are training 100 women, we want up to like 90% of them to be able to, get jobs, get necessary opportunities and the right platforms. Now, also for those of us who are already like, doing well for ourselves, we also expect that, because when I was starting out, one of the challenges I faced was the lack of role models, right? And the role models I had were very far away from me. I didn't have like access to them. So we need like programs that bring these people closer, right, to these upcoming girls. Also, they should be able to see that these people are being celebrated, these people are being rewarded, and these people are actually being rewarded for what they have done, right? So if I'm coming into tech and I see that, okay, this person has been in tech for 10 years, this is the work she has been doing, and this is how she's been celebrated, I'll be more motivated to, do more, to work hard, because I know that, okay, there's something there for me if I eventually get to that stage. So I think this is basically like what I have to say. Yeah, reward, support, and yeah, thank you so much.
Honestly, thank you so much, Gloria. It just feels like, we saved the last for the best. That was really practical. And honestly, I just wish that this conversation can just keep going and going and going. But it's so much, I feel like this webinar is so much tech wisdom in one conversation. So thank you so much for the insight, for the contributions. We're just going to speed up. At this point, I'll ask if we have questions, 1 or 2, we can take how many? We don't have time. Anyway, if we can have maybe just 1 question, then just to wrap up for the day. Adora was supposed to be next, but I can't see her on the call, so we're just going to skip that. Okay, so do we have any question? Okay, no question. Okay, so I would assume that's the, oh, okay, Kemi, do you have your hands up? Okay, please, Kemi, can you go on, please? Kemi Shola, let me learn.
All right, thank you. It has been an insightful section. No, in fact, I'm so happy to meet Joy. I'm just, I get to know about her work here, right here, and I'm so proud of her, a woman in that, in that field. It's quite inspiring. So well done, Joy. So I just want to chip in something because I could see this brief meeting is about implementation, because it will not be good enough for us to come together. We keep talking. Some things like that have been coming up before, coming together, talking in person on virtually and every other platform to come and talk about the way forward. And at the end of the day, none of it will be implemented. But I can see this will be a practical thing that will be implemented that will also impact the girls and the young women out there. So I will chip in this as part of the implementation strategy. Like someone mentioned about JETS in secondary school. I am a beneficiary of JET because JETS Club actually changed my life, turned my life around to technology, because I know my path. I choose my path right from that age, right from secondary school. And how the JETS impacted my life, because our curriculum, our educational system in Nigeria is all about theory. We have less practical. So JETS opened me personally and all my colleagues then to more of hands-on. Hands-on really impacts us, which I would love us to implement. When you see something, it will attract you more than what is written on the board or what you read on the internet. So all these things that they were taught in school, in mathematics, in physics, in chemistry, let them utilize it, let them see, especially mathematics. I can remember then when we were having some big formulas in mathematics, we'll be asking ourselves, how am I going to use this when I get out there? When I get a job, would they need all those formulas? But the answer is yes, they need them. But the fact that they've not applied all those things make them lose that interest. Let me just read to pass that exam and let me go to my house. Even in physics, let me read to pass that physics exam. But let us dwell more on hands-on. In advanced work now, like, is it Ada said that, Adaobi, they've introduced some new skills like robotics, coding, 3D modeling, artificial intelligence. All these are hands-on. All this, we attract them. They use all this to teach STEM education, to teach mathematics, to teach physics and chemistry. So you see the real life application of those things that we're being taught. So with this will draw their attention, both girls and boys, not just girls alone. It will draw their attention to STEM education. All right? It will let them know, oh, there's an hope behind all the things that were being taught in school. So I would suggest that real life application hands-on should be part of the implementation strategies that IDS is going to adopt in delivery, in their deliveries. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kemi. That's very insightful. Well, we also have the part of our strategies, I think, of implementation this year. We have clubs. So we'll take this feedback, we'll take it as feedback, and we'll decide whether we want to support the JET Club or to build female clubs, because as some of the speakers highlighted, it's important that these ladies learn it within a cluster of like girls. If we want to feel and laugh at each other, now we were all girls. So we will also weigh it, and then if possible have another conversation together with us here on this call and see how we can also implement that. So this actually brings us to the end of today's webinar. Thank you so much for joining the call, but it's not my job to thank you because I didn't call you here, right? So at this point, I'll invite the National Project Coordinator who has been listening and taking notes and taking our feedbacks to give us the closing remark and bring the meeting to an end. So Mrs. Blessing, it's over to you, ma.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dorcas and other participants. Yeah, it's really a great time with you. I've gotten a lot from the meeting. I believe the 2 hours or few hours you spend is not wasted at all. A lot is said and again a lot. The meeting is educative. I cannot appreciate the participants a lot, the discussants enough for taking their time. And many of them are busy people, yet they left all their schedule to come and attend to this meeting. We said we are grateful. I'm assured that with people like you together, we will achieve the objective of this project, which is promotion of the girl child, the female gender in technical education. Like we said before, we are assuring you that this meeting is not just a time to come and talk and it will end like that. We want action to follow. And I'm assuring you that action will be followed. And I equally encourage those of you who are free, especially the female folk. We'll be having a technical teachers training soon. If you have a training firm, you can apply to be part of it. We don't mind the female folk to be part of our training. We encourage you to be part of it, or if you know other female folk who are into training in the technical trades, we encourage them to apply to this office. We could use them for our training to encourage our female teachers and even the students. So once again, I said I'm most grateful. Thank you very much. I believe this is not going to be the end of this meeting. We will continue to discuss more and see more of you. One day we'll see face to face. It will not end in virtual meeting, but physical meeting where we can see one another and embrace one another. Thank you very much. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you very much, ma. Thank you.
Thank you.
What a way to end this meeting. I am pretty sure that we now know, all of us on this call, that the doors of Ideas Project is open to all of your ideas, all of your implementation strategies. As the project coordinator has mentioned, you can send us an email, you can visit. If you need more about the project, you can visit the website, which is www.ideasprojects.ng.com. God, I'm so excited, I'm even making mistakes. Okay, so the website is www.ideasprojects.gov.ng. So you can visit the website, and if you want, I can send it via email for us. So visit Ideas Project, see what the project is all about. And this call is also helpful because now we can put a context to the text that is on the website, and we can come up with ideas. As she said, we're open. I'm also open. You can always reach out to me. You can send us an email, and we'll be happy to have discussions with you. And lastly, I also want all of us to know that based on the discussions that we have had today, there is need for us to come back and see how we can move some of the conversations further. So you might be getting invitation mails from us. Please don't lock your doors from our invitation. It would be nice to have us back again. And I promise you that this project is determined to see that things are done the right way, and all of the programs are implemented. So once again, thank you very much for honoring this event. We hope to see you some other time. I am Dorcas Shefibello. I am a broadcast journalist and also the communication consultant to this project. And there is Madam Uche, who had spoken to us earlier, who is the head of communications for this project. And I see a couple of team members. Ikechukwu is here, Abigail is here, Bidemi is here, Madam Precious is here. Thank you all for putting up the technical team. Thank you all for putting up all of these and helping this meeting to come to light and to this webinar to come into success. God bless you all. Thank you so much. And I guess it's goodbye from here.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye, everybody. Good to be with you.
Bye, everyone.
Yes.